If you've been scrolling through endless spec sheets, watching YouTube comparisons, and still feel stuck wondering which TV actually lives up to the hype, this review is here to cut through the noise. I've spent the last week setting up a few different 65-inch models in a living room that doubles as a home office, and I'm going to walk you through what matters once the box is opened. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The biggest fear most buyers have isn't just paying too much, it's ending up with a picture that looks great in the showroom but falls flat in everyday life. You might imagine an OLED will magically turn your dimly lit movie night into a cinema, but you also worry about things like burn-in, how the TV handles bright daytime viewing, or whether the built-in smart platform feels clunky after the first software update. Those are the practical concerns that drive a purchase decision more than any headline number. OLED TVs have become the go-to for anyone chasing deep blacks and punchy colors, but the market is crowded. Samsung's latest 65-inch OLED, the S85F, tries to differentiate itself with a bundle that includes Vision AI, Pantone validation, and a year of extended protection plus a beginner's guidebook for home theater setup. The bundle price is higher than a bare-bones OLED, so the question is, does the added software and support actually translate into a better everyday experience? First off, Vision AI is Samsung's branding for a suite of upscaling and picture processing tools powered by the NQ4 AI Gen 2 processor. In practice, it means the TV takes a 1080p source, say a classic Blu-ray you still own, and pushes it up to near 4K detail without looking artificially sharpened. When I played a mixed-resolution library of indie films, the upscaled scenes blended surprisingly well with true 4K material, keeping grain in check while preserving texture. For a family that still streams a lot of older content, that AI-driven upscaling saves you from the frustration of a patchy picture. Pantone validation is another buzzword that can feel abstract until you see it in action. Samsung worked with the Pantone Color Institute to calibrate the OLED panel so that the colors you see on screen match the reference standards used in print and design. I tested it with a handful of cooking shows and a few nature documentaries that rely heavily on true-to-life greens and reds. The result was a noticeable lift in color fidelity. Greens looked leaf-rich rather than oversaturated, and reds were vivid without tipping into magenta. If you're the kind of person who notices a tomato looking off on a cooking channel, you'll appreciate that extra accuracy. Now, let's talk about the everyday strengths that actually affect how you'll use the TV day-to-day. The self-illuminating OLED pixels give you perfect blacks, which is a massive win for movie nights in a dim room. The contrast ratio feels infinite, and HDR highlights pop with a level of depth you don't get on LED panels. The TV's built-in AI upscaling also smooths out lower-resolution streaming content, so binge-watching a series that's still in 720p doesn't feel like a downgrade. The smart platform runs Samsung's Tizen OS, which, after a quick setup, feels intuitive. You can pull up Netflix, Disney+, and your YouTube feed without hunting through nested menus, and voice control works reliably with both Bixby and Alexa. On the flip side, there are practical trade-offs you need to keep in mind. OLED panels, by nature, are more vulnerable to image retention if static elements sit on the screen for too long. Think news tickers or gaming HUDs. Samsung includes a 1-year extended protection plan, which eases the worry a bit, but it doesn't eliminate the need for sensible viewing habits. The price point of the S85F, especially with the bundle, sits at the higher end of the market, so you're paying a premium for the AI features and the Pantone-validated color work. Finally, the screen has a fairly reflective surface. In a sun-filled living room, you'll notice glare unless you manage ambient lighting or add an anti-glare film. Who should actually consider this TV? If you're a cinephile who watches movies in a controlled lighting environment, or a design-oriented professional who values color accuracy for reference work, the deep blacks and Pantone-validated palette are compelling. The AI upscaling is a bonus for anyone with a mixed library of content, and the included home theater guide makes the setup process less intimidating for beginners. The extended protection plan also adds peace of mind if you're investing in a high-end piece that you don't plan to replace for years. Conversely, if you're on a tight budget, or your primary viewing spot is a bright kitchen or a floor-to-ceiling window bedroom, you might get more bang for your buck with a premium LED that handles reflections better. Heavy gamers who keep static HUD elements on screen for long sessions should also think twice, as the risk of burn-in, though mitigated by Samsung's Pixel Shift features, still exists. For those who mainly stream 4K HDR content,